Hello everybody, I am the Mobile Mantis, and welcome to something different. Part 1 of me building a bioactive enclosure for a praying mantis I'm hoping to get in spring. I raised mantises, never done a bioactive enclosure, so we're gonna try to do one today. Hopefully we figure it out. I'm gonna preface, none of this is a tutorial, don't listen to me, I'm dumb. Because this will be a mantis enclosure, the first step was to get rid of the metal mesh and replace it with a window screen mesh, just because it would be better for the mantis's feet. Please do not use scissors if you do anything like this. I am really stupid, but it ended up working out pretty well. So I'm going to preface here, I've never used silicone before. This is me now trying to measure out the window screen and cut it perfectly to where I can seal it in fairly seamlessly. It looks a little rough when I'm done, but I've never used silicone, and it will get better later on as I work on it more. Just trust me, I hope this goes well. I'm trusting me. This is also about the time that I learned silicone fucking reeks. You should not be doing this in a closed environment. I was doing this in a closed environment. So far we siliconed all of that, which looks really messy. Really messy. But we're gonna start the backdrop, which will push these to the back, and it'll all be this. This is where I kind of do the first draft of the backdrop, where I am placing in cork bark, seeing where I like it, and siliconing it in place. I'm not actually going to show you all this because I ended up undoing basically all of this because I found a better idea for the background involving spray foam and different things. It's going to be great. Trust the process. Let's see. There's a huge change of plans in the background. I will explain as I do it. So, okay, we went from this to this, and you'll see why. We're going to start doing this whole thing now. Now that I'm in a really well-ventilated, very odd area because I'm in a mudroom, I'm going to do a thin layer of silicone all right here, up to here, and then all of this wall except for like the last little bit of it. Maybe a slight layer here, but I might just skip that. Basically, ignore the table angle. Thin coat there, even though that's covered in dirt, and a tiny amount there. Now I attempt to figure out the hardscape. I wanted to have a design that would fit good with the mantis. I ended up ripping out more of the backdrop here, but I want to have some sort of natural shelf type thing to hold a plant or a mantis hanging spot, along with building little kind of plant pots into the background that both look natural but will very well hold dirt and sphagnum moss to propagate growing plants. I ended up planning out a little border using cork bark, and then that log in the middle there would be a great place to hold a plant, along with be a good mantis hanging spot. And then I end up using some of the cork bark to build up some random textures, along with some areas that could grip plants and moss very easily, in order to make this look very great in the end. To actually explain what I'm doing here, I'm using pond-grade expanding foam to lock in everything in the hardscape, the background, all of these different textures and cork barks. It'll come together with the expanding foam that later on I will be able to carve down into a shape I desire. So first it will come out very round and very poop-like, I guess. And once that is done expanding and cured for 24 hours, I can carve it back into a desired shape that will look far more natural. It'll make complete sense, just trust my process, please. People recommended this. I didn't just make this up. You can actively see me struggling here to hold all this together while I tried to figure this out. I've never made a terrarium before. This is where I hope what I was saying makes more sense. All of that foam will hold everything in place and build a nice backdrop that I can carve back and cut to my liking, so it will have a natural, realistic looking shape and look like the outdoors. 2 days later, I started by peeling off some of the silicone that got stuck onto the glass before spending about an hour to an hour and a half peeling and cutting back all of this expanding foam. I wanted no round edges to be left, and I used my fingernails, I used a razor blade, a knife, and a little, I don't know what the knife razor blade attachment thing is, but it ended up working out pretty well. Every round edge is gone, and it looks more naturalistic, and the next step there will be covering everything in silicone. It'll make sense. This is just a photo showing the rough cut of how all of this looks now. It'll look better. I just need you guys to trust the process. Now on to a very nightmarish process where I siliconed basically what's going to be the substrate onto the back wall as a base for plants, and so it looks more natural. This is it right after it's done. It will look a little better tomorrow. This is it before I've taken all of the excess off. I have to wait a day to do that. This is it the next day after everything is hardened and staying up. I still need a plant, though. This is where I start setting up everything that's going to be internal components, like the grow lights, which are just full spectrum LED lights, a temperature gauge, and a humidity gauge. What? I don't even know what that's called. But you know, just all the simple stuff that I need to wire inside so I can measure everything going on and make sure the climate is correct. I will be setting up heating a little later on, but right now my house is adequately heated, and the tank should be fine at the temperature it is, but a little later on I'll be adding an actual heating source just in case I need it. Trying to actually get this little thing through there and silicone it to the wall was a fucking nightmare. But eventually I figured it out and got it actually working, and it was great. It worked perfectly. I completely forgot me putting in the actual irrigation system in here. I set up a little system that on a timer will dispense water every, I think it was set to 12 hours. I need to keep the humidity in this tank around the 65 to 85 range for the plants and the type of mantis I'm going to be putting in here. So it's a very, very delicate thing just to keep it at that range. Now we are on to the drainage layer. I was using, there's a certain type of clay balls. You need to clean them first, so this is just that whole process. I ended up filling a few inches of the tank with these clay balls in order to have an adequate drainage layer to keep up the humidity and so plants could grow and not be overwatered. Didn't take me too long to set up, and then I ended up putting a mesh screen between that and the substrate layer. The substrate I ended up putting together was a mix of repti soil, orchid bark, dried cocoa fiber, and then sphagnum moss. This mix should help keep out the humidity, be a great basin for plants, and have nothing should have any issue rooting in it. I overall thought this was the best idea for it. I really hope it goes well. This next part here is a little jumbled, but what I ended up doing was buying a 13 moss mix from a website called Frog Daddy. Weird. But it's a bunch of microferns, different mosses, and myceliums that it's all in a liquid water thing. After using this irrigation system and testing it, I chucked it all over the wall. All of the different areas that this moss could grow, it will grow, if I did this correctly. But you're just supposed to throw it at the wall, and whatever area suits best for that type of moss, it will latch and grow. So, hopefully I did it right. It's kind of hard to tell. It is not done yet. I still need to add a plant there, and I want to add more to the bottom. But it's really starting to come together, and I'm really excited. We have a misting system, it's on a timer, the light's on a timer. It's going to be great. The next steps here are just going to be adding more plants, adding some taller plants for climbing and some hanging plants for cover and climbing, and just letting everything grow in. It's going to be great. A weirder update is after doing a 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. clopin, I ended up drinking a Monster for the first time in 5 months. I don't really drink caffeine anymore. I'm so tired. More plants! I have no plan, but I have more plants. This is just me deciding what plants I actually want to put in here, and I ended up narrowing it down to only a few, and 2 were left. Up that high? It might block the light. It ended up taking me not a ton of time, but probably longer than it should to narrow down where I want to put all the plants, and they ended up looking pretty fine. This ended up looking pretty good, especially for my first time doing any of this, and now I need to let it sit and grow. All the moss needs to cultivate, and I'll end part 1 here, and next time we will see how it's changed over the course of a couple months, and we will be adding a praying mantis to it. Hopefully a Timor shield mantis. You know who I am. I'm currently preparing to move my bedroom, not a house. Thank you all for watching this video. Hopefully this will continue to look good, and everything will grow fine.